You know, that moment, right? Your child, maybe they've just helped out with something, and then they look up and ask, so, uh, do I get paid for that?
Or they see something shiny in a shop.
Exactly. And suddenly it's all they can think about with zero concept of, earning it. It's such a common thing parents run into.
It really is, that whole pocket money for chores question.
Yeah, and today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. Not just the basics, but kind of the thinking behind it. Our mission really is to pull out the key insights on when to start, how much, and maybe most importantly, when not to tie money to chores.
Making sure it actually fits with your family's values.
Totally. We're covering the whole range, from a little 6-year-old learning to tidy up to a preteen saving for maybe a video game. Let's unpack it.
And what's really key here, I think, is the intentionality. It's often missed. For pocket money to really work as a teaching tool,
Hmm.
it needs to be more than just handing over coins. It's got to be a deliberate way to teach things like responsibility, maybe a bit of get up and go, and definitely some basic financial sense. The research actually hints it can link to being better with money later on.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, it's also easy to fall into traps, like maybe paying too much or using it like a bribe instead of a lesson. This dive should help pinpoint what makes it actually work.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The big one. When? What's the ideal age to even start thinking about this? We hear start early, but what does that really mean, developmentally speaking?
Well, look, there's no absolute hard and fast rule. But most parenting experts, they tend to zero in on somewhere between, say, 6 and 8 years old as a pretty good window.
6 to 8, okay. Why that specific range?
It just lines up really well with where kids are cognitively. They're starting to get their heads around numbers,
Hmm.
basic maths. They can start telling the difference between something they want and something they actually need.
Ah, that distinction. Crucial.
It is. And importantly, they're also developing this sense of, okay, I can do things. And they respond well to simple, consistent results.
Hmm.
You know, action, consequence.
That makes a lot of sense. I remember reading about, I think it was a 7-year-old who started helping clear the table regularly.
Hmm.
And when that consistent task got linked to a small, regular bit of pocket money, it wasn't just about pride, although that was there. It sparked deeper thoughts like, if I save this for 2 weeks.
Can I get that bigger thing? Exactly.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's not just early money sense. That's like the very beginning of thinking about delaying gratification, planning ahead.
It is the tiny seeds of financial planning.
But are there, like, common mistakes around that 6 to 8 age? Or times when starting earlier or even later might actually be better or worse?
That's a really good point. A common misconception is just earlier is always better. But starting
Mhm.
too young, before a child really gets cause and effect or basic counting,
Yeah.
it could just lead to confusion. Or they just expect a reward without understanding why.
Mhm.
On the flip side, waiting too long, maybe until the teen years, you miss out on that really foundational learning window when habits form more easily.
Okay.
So that 6-8 window, it kind of hits the sweet spot between their developing brain power and that natural urge kids have to help out and feel, competent. It's about readiness, really, not just a number on a birthday cake.
Readiness, not just age.
God,
Got it. So once you've kind of figured out the when, the next big hurdle is always, well, how much? It feels like such a dilemma for parents.
you're right. It does. And honestly, there's no single magic number
Yeah.
because the amount, it's actually way less important than the reason you're giving it.
Ah, the intention behind it.
Exactly. Sure. It depends on your family budget, of course.
Yeah.
But it really hinges on the specific lessons you're trying to teach. For younger kids, maybe 1 or 2 pounds a week, off that's plenty. The really useful shift here is to think less about the specific pounds and pence and more about what that money represents. Is it just a reward for doing a task, like an external push?
Well,
Or are you using it to help them feel like they have some control, some autonomy over their own little financial world, even tiny choices? That really makes you, the listener, think, what's our family's philosophy on effort and money?
that's a great reframe. How do we make sure the difference between just the coin and the actual concept is clear for, say, a 10-year-old?
Well, let's take your example.
Okay, say they want a toy, costs maybe 12 pounds. You agree on 3 pounds a week for certain chores. They know, okay, 4 weeks of doing this consistently gets me the toy.
Right.
If they use something visual, like a savings jar or even a simple app, they're learning basic financial planning without even realizing it's a lesson. Saving, setting a goal, patience.
Precisely. And that visual element is so powerful for kids.
Mhm.
Then naturally, as they get older, maybe take on tasks that are a bit more complex or take more time, increasing the amount makes sense.
It scales up.
Yeah. And this also opens the door to something else some families find really effective. Optional bonus chores.
Ah, like extras.
Exactly. Things like, I don't know, washing the car, maybe helping with some gardening. This isn't about their regular stuff, the things they do just as part of the family.
Right, the baseline.
It's about introducing almost real-world work ideas,
Mm-hmm.
but in a safe space.
Yeah.
A little mini economy at home. It
Mm-hmm.
shows them, okay, extra effort, extra initiative, that can bring extra reward, just like out there.
Now, this next bit feels really crucial and maybe where parents stumble sometimes, the pitfalls. Because while pocket money can be great, there have to be times when money shouldn't be part of the equation.
Absolutely. When do we draw that line?
Yeah, and what happens psychologically maybe if we don't?
This is honestly where good intentions can kind of backfire. Not every single thing a child does around the house should come with a price tag. Some responsibilities, they're just part of being in a family. They're about contributing to the whole group.
Yeah.
If you start paying a child for, say, brushing their own teeth or feeding the family dog or even cleaning up their own room,
Mhm.
you risk creating this transactional mindset. They might start thinking they should get paid for anything they do, even stuff that's just for their own benefit or basic living.
That makes sense. It could erode that internal drive.
Exactly. Intrinsic motivation. So you need to be really careful about paying for a basic self-care or using money as the only way to encourage expected behavior or, and this is a big one, tying money to school stuff like paying for good grades.
Right. So the real danger is creating this expectation. I only do things if I get paid, even for stuff that's just part of being in the family. But what about the argument some people make that, any contribution, even the basic stuff, should get something to show it has value? How do you respond to that?
That's a fair point to raise. But I think the distinction is really important. When we pay for those fundamental expected things, the risk is we accidentally signal that these are tasks done only for an external reward, instead of being intrinsic acts. Things you do because you belong, because you contribute to the family team. The alternative, and what a lot of experts suggest, keep some chores completely non-negotiable. Frame it like, look, in this house, everyone pitches in because we're a team. That's just what families do.
Okay.
And then you specifically set aside pocket money for the extra stuff. Tasks that show they took initiative, went a bit beyond the basics, or maybe handled something more complex than their usual jobs.
Ah, so it teaches a difference.
Exactly, a nuanced understanding. Some things you do because you're part of the family, others you do for extra effort, extra gain.
That feels like a really clear, practical lesson. So, okay, if it's done thoughtfully, pocket money really does have this incredible power to teach some deep life lessons.
Oh, absolutely. When you use it strategically, it's doing much more than just teaching earn money, buy thing. It becomes this little home laboratory for real-world principles.
Like what specifically?
Well, kids start to really internalize cause and effect, economically speaking.
Yeah.
My effort creates value, and I see a tangible reward for that value.
Right. Action, reaction.
They learn about saving versus spending, moving from just wanting something vaguely to setting a concrete goal.
Mm-hmm.
And crucially, delayed gratification. That ability to wait, to put off the instant buzz for a bigger reward later, that's huge. Research links it strongly to success later in life.
Wow, okay.
And finally, they get a feel for effort and value. The more I put in, maybe consistently or doing a bigger task,
Yeah.
the more I earn.
That's quite a package of lessons, really shapes their whole view of work and money. Think about that kid saving for the 20-pound toy again.
Mm-hmm.
You agree, okay, £2 a week for helping with laundry and walking the dog. 10 weeks later, they walk into the shop and buy that toy with money they earned.
The satisfaction there.
It must be immense. And the understanding that comes from that whole process, that's a massive life lesson all wrapped up in a simple family agreement. It's amazing how much learning can come from something seemingly small.
It really is.
But let's clarify something because the words get mixed up. Is there actually a difference between pocket money and allowance, or are they just the same thing?
That's a great question because, yeah, people use them interchangeably all the time. But there can be a useful difference, especially in how you think about teaching kids. Pocket money usually implies it's earned. It's directly linked to doing specific tasks or jobs. You do the work, you get the money.
Got it. And allowance.
Allowance is often more like a regular, fixed amount given mainly to teach budgeting and money management skills.
Yeah.
It might not be tied directly to chores at all. You get it each week, and the lesson is learning how to handle it.
So two different approaches. Which is better?
Well, both have good points. But what many parents find works really well, and what seems to be supported by research too, is a kind of hybrid model.
Ah, mixing them.
Yeah. So maybe you give a small base amount each week for them to practice budgeting, with maybe tied to some basic non-negotiable family contributions, but then you also offer extra opportunities to earn more money through additional tasks, those bonus chores we talked about.
Okay, so that teaches both sides.
Exactly. It teaches that, yes, some responsibilities are just part of being in the family, non-negotiable, but also that extra effort going above and beyond. That can bring extra rewards. It mirrors the real world pretty well, actually.
That hybrid model does sound really practical for a lot of families. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. If we connect this to the bigger picture, how do different cultures handle this? Because it feels like it's rarely just about the cash, right? It's tied up in deeper values.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fascinating layer, and it really shines a light on different philosophies of raising kids.
Hmm.
In the UK, like we've been discussing, it often starts around 6 to 8, often tied to chores.
Aiming for responsibility, work ethic.
Right. Individual responsibility, the value of work. Similarly, in the U.S., that allowance for chores model is really
Ooh.
common, especially in middle childhood.
Yeah.
Again, the focus is often on independence, financial literacy through earning.
Okay. But not everywhere.
Not at all. If you look at many cultures that are more collectivist in their outlook, the emphasis can be quite different.
Hmm.
Chores, they're often just expected, full stop.
And not as a transaction.
No, more is just a basic contribution to the family unit, to the group.
Mm.
Money might not be given for tasks directly, maybe only for special occasions or birthdays. The core value there is often interdependence. Everyone contributes to the whole without needing an individual financial kickback for every little thing.
So it's less about prepping for the solo economic world?
And perhaps more about reinforcing their role within the family, within the community. It just really highlights that there isn't one single right or wrong way to do this.
Yeah.
The key thing is that whatever approach you take, it needs to genuinely line up with your own family's values, your child's personality, and what you're hoping they learn long-term about money and about contribution. It's as much a philosophical choice as a practical one.
So pulling it all together then, the main message seems to be, if you're doing pocket money, start when your child can actually grasp that money comes from effort. It's not just magically given.
Right. When they're cognitively ready.
Keep it age appropriate, make it consistent, and clearly link it to what they've done. Avoid that feeling of just entitlement.
And just as vital, consciously decide which tasks are not about money. Keep some things separate. That way your child learns that being part of a home, contributing, it isn't always a transaction. It's
Yeah.
about belonging, about being part of the team.
You know, teaching kids about work and money early on, it doesn't just get them ready for the real world out there.
Yeah.
It really builds their confidence, doesn't it? Their resilience, that feeling of independence.
Absolutely. Those are skills.
And it's a feeling, too, I think, something that builds up over time, and it's worth so much more than any actual coin they earn along the way. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Are we just teaching them about pounds and pence, or are we actually teaching them how to be capable, contributing people?